Thank you. I call the Ferrisburg City Council meeting to order for February 5th, 2024. Amber, roll call, please.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Here.
Councilmember Sias,
Here.
Councilmember Murdoch. Here. Councilmember Kate,
Here.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Here.
Councilmember Sturley,
Here.
Mayor Carlson.
Here. If we could all rise for the invocation by Councilmember Kate, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Gracious God, we thank you for your gifts that you give to us graciously each and every day. Among them is the gift of government, and we pray that you would lead us and guide us as we exercise that gift. In your name we ask it. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. This is the time for public comments. This is the time on the agenda for any citizen to direct brief comments or questions to the city council. Time for public comments will be given when an agenda item is discussed. If you have a comment or question, please raise your hand to be recognized. And after being recognized by the mayor, please give your name and address for the record and proceed with your comment or question. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment? Mr. O'Donnell.
Thank you, Timothy O'Donnell, 540 Ferry Street. At the January 15th meeting, I appreciate the talk about the MML and the involvement in it. However, there was some misrepresentation of fact by Mayor Pro Tem Montgomery, who stated that he attended a conference at the MML. The ethics policy holds that you need to be held at the highest standards, personal integrity, which involves truthfulness, honestness, and fairness. Personal integrity is a combination of truthful and honesty. Truthfulness is the fact being true. Honesty is the plurality of being honest, honor, and respectability. Fairness is impartial without favoritism or discrimination. Will said that to contrary to what you hear, I have been to several conferences. There's no report required by council and no evidence of any expenses for that. This would make his statement to be untrue. For 4 years, he and others on the council opposed my participation in the MML, stating that it was a waste of time, it was a lobbyist group, and also that it was a waste of money. He said he attended a virtual conference. There was only one, and that was the year after COVID. If he attended and he did not reveal it until now, it shows deceit and honesty because there was no evidence of it. If he did attend and said he did, again, it shows deceit and honesty, or dishonesty. If he supported it in secret, only opposed it, that shows untruthfulness. If he supported it in secret, openly opposed it to spite me, that shows partiality. Opposing participation in MML and any association with Lansing on social media, dissemination of inappropriate information. All the above together constitute a gross violation of the City Code of Ethics. And I appreciate that there are people that want to participate in this, but there also needs to be accountability and truthfulness when statements are made. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Seeing none, let's move forward. Item 6 is consideration for approval of the consent agenda. 6A is approve the January 15th city council meeting minutes as printed. 6B, adopt a resolution to place the Ottawa County-wide road millage renewal proposal on the August 6, 2024 ballot or the November 5th, 2024 ballot. 6C, adopt a resolution to support implementation of the bundle program to help facilitate the overall goal of improving local bridge conditions in Michigan. And 6D, approve the 2024 prioritized city council goals.
Your Honor. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Amber, is there a difference in cost to the city if we put that road renewal on August 6th or the November 5th?
Not to my knowledge. The only difference usually for an election is if it's school-related for payment, so it'd be the same cost.
So there's no difference in cost to the city?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, are we deciding what day that goes on the ballot, or are we just adopting a resolution that says either or?
So the county wants to put on the ballot, on the ballot for every community at the same time. So they haven't decided what date they want to put it on yet, but they're leaning towards the August ballot.
Okay, so we're not choosing a date, we're just saying that we're committing to one of these two dates.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kate?
I would like to move that we move item number 6D out of consideration for approval of the consent agenda, relocate it to item 7, new business, because I believe it deserves further discussion, and then renumber item 7 to item 8, new business. Let's call item 7 old business.
I'll support that.
Motion and support on the table. Any further comments?
One, Bill, are you just moving it and keeping it as is, or do you want it to be a work session?
I believe that the prioritized city council goals needs more discussion than just passing it as a approval of the consent agenda.
Right, do you want to approve it tonight or just have a work session?
Let's move it to an item that we can approve tonight without a work session. We've all had those goals presented to us, and I think we're prepared to discuss them, but it should not be passed carte blanche as part of the approval of consent agenda.
Question, Your Honor? If we choose to, if we move this and then we choose not to pass it tonight, are we able to table that?
Certainly,
Okay.
certainly. Any further discussion?
Your Honor, I'm a little
Yes.
confused, so we're gonna move this to new business for discussion, but then vote on approval tonight as well, without a work session, I mean,
Councilman Kate, you're suggesting to move it to 7F, is that correct?
Hang on just a second. Yeah, we could do that, 7F.
Does that answer your question, Jerry?
well, no, I believe his motion said to move it for discussion. So are we gonna discuss it and approve it tonight? That's my only,
That will be my motion, that we discuss and approve, or
okay.
If there's a motion to
we can
approve it,
table
then
it.
we can vote on it.
right.
Correct.
There'll be
Right.
an actionable item after the
An
discussion.
actual item separate from the consent agenda.
Very good.
That make sense?
Any
Thank
other
you.
discussion? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor of 6A, B, and C for consideration on the consent agenda?
Yes?
Yes.
Aye.
Would you like roll?
I'm sorry.
No? Okay, Councilmember Sias,
Yay.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes. Moving on to 7A, discussion and to take action if appropriate to approve a recommendation from the Planning Commission to approve a request filed by Todd Camps for a special use permit and for site plan approval for condominium of storage units, personal and commercial storage suites. West Shore Engineering and Survey Project, 3513-0030, revision number 3, dated January 30th, 2024. Sheets 1 and 2 in building drawings received January 3rd, 2024, on parcel number 70-03-09-300-070, a vacant parcel on 174th Avenue.
Your Honor, I move for approval.
I support.
Motion and support on the table.
Your Honor,
Any
question?
discussion?
Craig, now, as I was reading through the stuff presented to us, there will be no working out of this. It'll be storage and possibly living space above the storage.
No living space, it's all commercial and personal storage suites.
But there would be no businesses running out of it, correct?
Possibly they could be, because it's zoned general commercial, so if a business wants to operate out of one of those suites, it would have to be a permitted use or special land use in that zone district.
So they would have to come back to us or the zoning board to get approval to run a business out of it?
If it's a special land use, it'll go to the planning commission, then to city council. If it's a permitted use, it could be approved administratively.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Craig?
So, it's a couple things. The planning commission has reviewed this, held a public hearing on their meeting on January 4th. And it was approved with contingent on a number of items. The developer and the engineer have submitted plans, resubmitted plans to the engineer and to the planner. The latest one went back to today to get revised. And there was another comment from the city planner. The developer and the engineer have addressed those. They got the drawings tonight if you want to see them. So based on what the engineer has told me when he came in tonight, that the last contingent item has been addressed. So on the motion, it should be revision number 5 dated 2/5/24.
Okay. So noted, number 5. There's a motion and support on the floor. Any further discussion?
Your Honor, I have a quick
Yes.
question maybe before we, Craig, did you say this is not residential? This is only for storage?
Correct.
Okay, but the condos above the storage, is that not gonna be used for residential use?
Todd, can you address that, please?
Thank you. Todd Camps, 17472 West Spring Lake Road. Thank you. Probably a year ago, when we started the process, we talked about the live-work opportunity, and we actually addressed the zoning for that. Craig helped me out a couple years ago with the first and second channel side storages that we did. So the idea was to have that as an option. So if somebody wanted to have their small business there, their electrician, plumber, they could actually have a live-work setup. So they could have basically up above an apartment, office, and then the equipment, trucks, down in the lower section. So I thought, my understanding is if someone was going to do the residential component, that had to be, we had to bring that forward with our plans for approval. I thought that was my understanding. That wasn't carte blanche to do the business portion of it, the electrician, work there, work out of a unit. If it's a permitted use, as Craig said, then that's allowed. If there's a specific use that's not allowed, then we'd have to come back for staff approval. Currently, I have verbal commitments for all of the units, and I don't know of those units anyone that's planning to run a business. And I don't know of any of the current parties interested are actually looking at doing the residence. My thought when we started that discussion a couple years ago was that it was a neat concept and gave us something different than other communities. And again, as we look at cost-effective housing, if somebody could have a residence there and their business, or I even thought, my parents, years ago, my dad thought that was a great idea. They RV'd, they had sold their home, they would come back to West Michigan and, Spring Lake Ferrisburg for 4 months in the summer. And he's like, oh, that would be so cool. I could have my motorhome or my fifth wheel inside, and mom would, have her kind of apartment, and the grandkids could come over type thing. But I don't have anyone specifically looking to do that. But I think, again, that the zoning and the special use would allow that. But prior to that unit being built out like that, we'd have to have the staff approve of the plans.
Is that enough clarification?
No, it actually confuses me
Oh, sorry,
more. Yeah, so you're saying it's not residential, but folks could make an apartment out of it? How, those two don't coincide?
With a special approval.
With special approval, okay. Well, my concern is building codes, because of course, commercial building codes are extremely different than residential building codes.
Yep.
And if you build this to commercial codes, then the apartments will not be up to residential codes.
Well, again, that would have to, I'm gonna have my storage unit there, and if, a year from now, I say, gosh, I decided to sell my house and convince my wife we should go live there, I would have to come back with a plan and ask for that to be approved. And then, of course, I have to meet all of the code, for that apartment up above my, storage of my stuff.
Are these apartments, are they gonna be finished apartments, or are they just gonna be
There's gonna be
shell.
none right now built, none.
None,
There-
okay.
It's gonna be
So those will be built.
commercial, it's all commercial for storage. Of the 8 units, of the folks right now that have verbally given me commitments for them, none of them are running a business either. But again, as Craig said, if one of those gentlemen sold it and Mike bought it in 2 years and he wants to have his small computer repair out of there, if that's a allowable use, he could go do that. If it needs a special use, he would have to then come back in 2 years and ask for that particular use. If I sell you my unit in a couple years, Jerry, and you say, hey, this would be perfect when our grandkids visit, kind of as an overflow, so they're not all moving in, to the house. Again, that would go back for, actually the plans, right, to build that apartment would now have to be developed and then go through the city for all the
Permits
normal permits for water, and everything you would have to do if you built your house.
Okay, thank you.
And anyone else?
Yes, sir. I live in a little bitty condo, right, Regina? She and I have the same HOA. Got about 1,000 square feet. Below part of that is a garage.
Yeah.
If I were want to run a business out of my garage, I could do that. It'd be kind of the reverse of what we're talking about. You talk about storage, my garage could just be storage, but I live above it. I see no difference in what the proposal here offers versus what many of our current living conditions are. So I'm in favor of passing this.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Just to set your mind at ease, Jerry, they would have to meet all the residential codes. They would have to have two egresses of the building. If there's an apartment up there, you have to have 2 exits to get out in case of fire. It has to be fire rated from the bottom up. So that would be no different than, like Bill said, a garage under your house. It has to be fire rated to the house that, if your car catches on fire, you got time to get out. So that would have to meet all the applicable building codes and legal issues involved in that. Okay, does that help you out a little? Yeah. Okay.
Anyone else, any other comments?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Okay, so we have a motion and with support on the floor? Yep, yes, of course.
Timothy O'Donnell, 540 Ferry Street. I've opposed this development since it started. When I was on city council, there was some multiple issues that were brought up, and I think they're still there. You talk about coming to the planning commission or to Craig and saying, okay, I want to do this to the site, or I want to do that to the site. That's all good and well, but that's if everybody's honest. What you set in motion here could have some very bad ramifications down the road. People coming 10 years down the road may want to go in there and set up a business. They don't want to go pay the fees and fines. There's no way to regulate it. There's no way to know what's going on in there. It's private property. You can't walk in. You can't check it out. So we're relying on the honesty of the people that rent there, and that we're going for the future, that people are going to do everything by the book. If I got a $100,000 storage spot, you know, I might be tempted to just do what I want with it. I wouldn't, but I could be tempted to do it. And there's some people that might be tempted and actually do it. Number 5 on the under the city planners is promote public interest service facility and use determined to be beneficial to the residents of the city. Under that, the city plan put a very vague statement. Said, yeah, okay, it's in the zone, and I'll approve it. I still see no way that it's gonna benefit the city. It'll benefit the 8 people that will rent those properties. The fire chief stood here at the last council meeting, and he had concerns about it. He asked you to address those concerns, and they were not addressed. He also wrote a letter to the planning commission to address the concerns that he has, and they were not addressed. It was supposed to be tabled until all concerns were addressed. And that's what I'm gonna ask you to do tonight, is to wait until all concerns are addressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, there are, if you look at the tape of the planning commission meeting, there were many people that were here that opposed that development. And as many of you ran on, we listened to the people, I think you should. You should set their fears aside, or not set them aside, but you should address their fears and resolve them before you move on with this issue. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any other
Your Honor.
comments? Yes, sir.
Craig, the fire chief had concerns about a sprinkling system. We were gonna look into whether we could write an ordinance to require that. Has that been done, and what's the issue?
The fire chief has looked into that. He was trying to get some more information. I talked to him Friday, and he has signed off on the site plan for the Channel Side 3.
As it's presented to us?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good. Any other comments?
Your
Yes,
Honor.
Mr. Sturley.
I have a question for Craig. If someone were to move into one of these storage units without the proper permitting or whatever it would do, whatever is needed to make them in legal standing, what would the punishment be for someone if they got caught? Would it be a fine?
Yes, possibly a citation could be issued, they'd be in violation of the zoning ordinance.
So if someone were to act outside of one of our ordinances, they could have potential consequences for that,
That's
correct?
correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none. Amber, could we get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias,
No.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7B, discussion and to take action and approve, if appropriate, to approve a recommendation from the Rec Commission to approve a quote from Racket Sports for $59,660 to paint the basketball courts, tennis courts, and pickleball courts for Coast Guard Park.
Make a motion to approve.
Support.
Okay, we have motion and support. Craig, you want to say anything about this?
Just in the packet in my memo, there was a note that will require a budget amendment. It's not changing the budget any, just moving some money from one line item to another.
Okay,
Your Honor?
And that,
Craig, did we get competitive bids on this?
We've tried to get competitive bids. This is the only company on this side of the state that does this work. There's some companies on the east side, but they're not gonna travel over here to paint this.
Okay, so basically, we're taking one bid and approving it.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Your Honor,
yes.
we just spent a whole bunch of money repaving both the basketball and the tennis courts, right? I've seen pickleball, I've seen tennis. They can be played on the same courts, it just requires different lines. And painting different lines, to me, would seem a whole lot cheaper than reconfiguring the basketball courts to play pickleball. So I am not in favor of this.
so we've already laid all the cement. We
Yeah,
just need to paint the lines.
right. And now you have to drill more holes in the concrete to put in pickleball nets instead of just using the existing, or what will be the existing planned tennis court nets.
Yeah, and we talked about that, but with the popularity of pickleball and the fact that that is one of the only lit tennis courts in the area, and it's pretty well used.
I agree.
we felt,
I understand that,
it-
but
We're not using 4 basketball courts anymore, so we're turning 2 of those basketball courts into 4 pickleball courts.
so the 4 basketball nets that are there will have to be torn down,
4 of them, yes.
right?
Yep,
The holes will have to be filled in, right?
yes.
And we'll have to drill new holes to put pickleball nets in.
Yeah, I don't remember if they're drilling holes or mounting them.
Matt, can you help us out with that?
Yeah, so they're.
At the mic. Thank you.
My name is Matthew Schindelbeck, Public Services Department. Did you give them the drawing of the courts?
I was waiting for the tennis courts.
Oh. He suggested, his name is Spencer from Racket Sports, and he suggested leave the basketball hoops without taking them out, and you can still put the pickleball courts in as is. 4 pickleball courts total on 2 basketball courts.
But it still requires boring more holes in the concrete.
Nope, just for the tennis courts, they actually have stationary pickleball nets now that are real heavy duty, and you don't need to drill into the concrete.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Motion and support on the table. Any further discussion at all? Hearing none. Amber?
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Kate,
No,
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Moving on to item C, report by Public Service Services Supervisor Matt Schindleback.
Yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm just gonna give you a little bit of information about myself, and then I'll share some things about our department, and some of the things that we do throughout the city. I started here in 2004 as a seasonal worker, mowing grass and trimming, working in the parks and things of that nature. I was hired in 2008 as a full-time public services technician, hired in 2015, and hold the current position that I have. Tom Miller, he's worked here for 20 years. I've been here 19, 20 this year. Len Vanderjack has been here 10 years. And his anniversary date was actually yesterday. Carl Rowland, 9 years. Jeremy Gorel, 8 months. Tyler, 9 months. So Tyler's a part-time employee, soon to be full-time, hopefully July 1st, and Jeremy was hired in June of this year. So a little bit about our department. Water department, we do water taps, which if you're not familiar with, we excavate down to a water main. We drill it live, so it's under pressure. We tap the main, it threads the main, threads a hole in the water main, and then we run our service from that main to the home to supply water to the home. A little bit of handwork, a little shoveling, things of that nature. We use our backhoe mostly to get down to it. Sometimes Ferrisburg's not just dunes, there's a lot of areas where there's clay and the water table's high, so we have to de-water. So we use like a well point system, dry points into the ground. We use diaphragm pumps to pump the water out of the ground to dry our hole out so we can work. We make repairs on a pretty regular basis. We've done roughly, maybe a little over 300 since 2000 water service repairs in the right-of-way, where we've either had a break between the main and the curb stop, or right at the right-of-way line for a property owner, where we'll go in and we'll put a piece in of copper or plastic to provide water to a homeowner if they lose water due to polybutylene. It was a water service pipe that was put in the early 80s, and it kind of fails over time. So we fixed a lot of those. Hydrant maintenance, valves, we turn valves regularly east of 31, west of 31. We alternate years. So this year we'll do east of 31. Last year we did west of 31. We exercise them in case we have a break throughout the city. If we have a break, we need to be able to shut it down and isolate a certain section of water main so we can make a repair. So we turn them consistently so they work when we need them to work, ultimately. We install water meters. We flush our services after we make repairs or new lines are installed. We want to make sure there's no sand in them so they don't get in people's fixtures and appliances in their home. We take water samples 6 times a month. Back tea samples we take 6 times a month at 3 different locations throughout the city. Disinfected byproducts or samples we take quarterly. That's like it's a byproduct. We're measuring things that the chlorine interacts with in the water mains to make sure that they don't exceed a level that they're safe for consumption, obviously. Because when chlorine sits in the water and organic material in the main for too long, it can cause harmful things if it's not controlled. So ultimately, that's what we're testing for. We do inspections on new services and water mains throughout the city. We stake all of our water services and water mains to the right-of-way line. And valves, of course. Taste and odor complaints, we respond to those when asked to, and try to give insight the best we can. Sewer department, we maintain lift stations number 1, which is at Ferry Park, number 3, which is Cove Street, number 5 is Dogwood Drive, number 6 is Royal, number 7 is Lake Point, number 201 is off of Norfolk Drive. And basically, those are just areas, lowest areas. They're generally located at the lowest spot in a given area where gravity can't take the sewer down the road. We send it to a lift station, we pump it to the highest point, and then gravity takes it the rest of the way. We have 2 pumps in all of our stations, except for pump station 1 where we have 3. So all the sewage in the city, we send to Ferry Park, and then we pump it to a lift station in the village, and then we pump it under the Grand River to the wastewater treatment plant where they treat it and discharge it back into the Grand River. So it's it's kind of like a cycle. Drink the water, send it to the sewer system, send it to the collection system, to the treatment plant, they send it back out to the lake, we pull it back in and reuse it again. We stake all our collection lines, we make repairs if we can reach them. We don't have a lot of equipment that'll reach deeper than 6 feet, so generally it has to be contracted out if it's deeper than 6 feet, so. We do inspections and we respond to complaints, of course. Parks and Rec, we take care of our restrooms, we mow, we trim, we edge, we take care of the flowers, we weed the flower beds. Playground inspections, we do once a month. We winterize our bathrooms, we winterize our irrigation lines. We also do snow removal in the parks and all our non-motorized paths. We sweep our non-motorized paths and snow blower, non-motorized paths. Maintain them the best we can. Stormwater, we make repairs, we clean grates, we clean catch basins, we stake our storm sewer system. That's about all we do with those. Major and local street maintenance, we brush chipping, tree trimming, tree removals, leaves, trash. We do a citywide trash pickup generally twice a year, spring and fall, and then we try to pick it up throughout the week if we see it too. So banners, fall decorations, winter decorations, street lights, irrigation along the road shoulders wherever we have them. Roadkill, we do pick that up pretty regularly, unfortunately. Potholes, street signs. We plow all our cul-de-sacs, plow all our roads. We also plow a section out on North Shore Drive for the city of Grand Haven. We plow a section for Spring Lake Township down North Shore Estates, and a couple other private roads throughout the city we take care of too. We grade a couple gravel roads that we still have in the city, Roosevelt, Fifth, Evergreen, and Highland Drive. We have our streets swept pretty regularly. We mow our road shoulders, maintain our equipment. We wash it pretty consistently. We do routine maintenance on our equipment. Community promo, parades, we do the parade, the picnic, decorations, Christmas decorations, things of that nature, so. Just to give you a brief summary of kind of some of the things that we do. You guys have any questions for me?
Matt,
Yes.
is there any reason to believe that our sewer lines have been compromised by any other utilities?
Compromised.
I've gotten a couple of contacts from Michigan Gas saying they want to send somebody into my house and run a camera down my sewer line to see if it's been affected by Michigan Gas lines.
I can't speak on behalf of the gas company.
I'm sorry?
I can't speak on behalf of the gas company.
I understand that, but is there any reason to believe, from your standpoint,
No.
that our sewer lines have been compromised? Thank you.
So not from the public works perspective.
Right.
But from the gas perspective.
Your Honor, was it 4 or 5 years ago, they drilled a line through the sewer in downtown Spring Lake through the main sewer line?
They didn't drill through it, I think an excavator hit it.
So
Well, there's a gas line right through the sewer line.
I'm not familiar with it.
So don't quote me on this, but I think it's a state push. Essentially, these gas companies came in and bored service lines
Right,
to the houses.
right.
When they bored, they have found that they bored through sewers. When they bore through anything else, you know immediately, right? If they hit a gas line, if they hit a water line, you know immediately. A sewer they can bore through and it'll still operate, and it could take 10 years to back up. So now what they're doing is cameraing those laterals to be proactive and see if in the past they had bored through your lateral sewer line and fix it before it backs up into your yard or into your house. So that's probably what they're contacting you about.
I get that. I just wanted to hear it from the city. If we believe those lines have been compromised in any way, and I don't think we have, so.
Yeah, I don't, are you able to know without them cameraing? Or it backing up?
No.
All right,
I mean, other than a sinkhole in your yard,
Sure.
sometimes you would notice.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions for Matt? Yes, Jerry.
Matt, how are we with lead water pipes? Any in the city, or we've totally not eliminated all
We're
lead?
working on that with the state of Michigan. But yeah, there's no lead in the city.
How about polybutylene, or however you pronounce it?
Yeah, there's plenty of that. There's a lot of it that's been replaced. Some people, unfortunately, it's not an easy, or it's an expensive fix. So generally, if we can help them by just putting in a piece, we do. If it's not too far out, if it's in the right of way or close to it, we'll put a piece in to provide water. Unfortunately, some people just can't afford to fix their water lines. So there's still a number of them that exist. Even after they broke, there's just, we call them a Band-Aid. Ultimately, that's what we're doing, so.
I didn't know that, and when we bought our house, probably about 5 years in, I came out to my front yard, and I had a big bubble
Yep.
in the whole yard. I had no clue. My neighbor tells me there was a Class Act lawsuit, but I was too late to get into it.
Yeah, I think that was even before my time, wasn't it?
Yeah, and so what I had to do, what I was told, is to call Bill's Plumbing.
Sure.
And they charged me, and they fixed it.
Yep.
I didn't know you guys could come and Band-Aid it up.
Well, it just depends on where it's broke.
It was real close to the road.
Yeah, we've done many of them. like
Yeah,
that, so.
unfortunately, I already took care of it.
So thank you, Debbie.
Yes, sir.
I got one question for you, and I approached Craig about this. We're looking at that big development there on the Blueberry Fields, whether there's 300 houses or 200 houses. The proposal Spring Lake Township has is to tie on to the sewer line on the end of Bridle Path.
Yep.
Now, my question to you is the main we have on 168th that we are looking at redoing with the road, is that adequate to handle that additional sewage?
Yes,
It is?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
We would like you to say no.
Yes, Craig.
So just to follow up on Mr. Schindlerbeck's comment about the Band-Aid, we strongly encourage the homeowner to replace the whole line.
Yeah, I say it's a Band-Aid because it could break again. Now where we make the repair, like further down the line.
Yeah, they ran a whole new sleeve the whole way.
Yeah. But yeah, we always encourage them to make a full repair of a service line, but if they can't, if we can fix it, we generally will for the customer, so.
Mr. Schindlerbeck, briefly, can you speak on the cross-connection program coming up that we're working on and the condition of the sanitary sewer that's 18 feet deep on 68th Avenue?
So what would you like me to talk about, cross connections, what about it?
What you're working on getting?
So, well, we have two proposals. We're just kind of waiting to hear from Jeremy Klein from the state of Michigan.
Could you first explain cross-connection?
A cross connection.
Thank you.
Basically, when you have your potable water supply, so your drinking water supply, and you have, let's say, irrigation, ultimately, you can have where they call it like backflow or back siphonage, where water can move backwards. If you have let's say you have a main break out by your house, that negative pressure will pull the water back into the drinking potable water system, if the break is severe enough. Now, let's say you just fertilize your yard and you don't have a way to protect the potable water supply from your irrigation system, that contaminated water could arguably get into your drinking water and contaminate you and along with many other people. So the program is, I guess, designed to prevent that from happening. The state wants the cities, townships, counties, statewide, nationwide, to adopt an ordinance where you go into a home and you inspect the home for cross connections. You identify them, and if they have them, they have so many days to make corrections, whether that's a preventer or isolation, whatever that may be. So that's kind of where we're at. Right now, the state, it's always been an ordinance, but they've never enforced the residential aspect of their program. Now they're starting to push where they want residential enforcement. And that's kinda, does that answer your question? We do
So-
it commercially.
So they're not happy with just having vacuum breakers?
No, they are, but see, you have to have them tested every so often. So every 5 to 10 years, every residential backflow preventer would have to be tested, and that would be a homeowner's cost, not a city cost.
Right now, it's only commercial that has to be tested.
Well, it's residential, they haven't enforced it.
Okay, very good.
So yes, yeah, to answer your question, yes.
Okay. How about 168th now?
I don't know how to start. I guess our city engineer, one of them, Prine and Newhoff, noticed during our SAW grant work back in 2017 and 2018 that there was a belly in some of our joint offsets were leaking. We were getting some infiltration. So we, as part of our 168th Road project, we talked about replacing 389 feet of 10-inch sanitary sewer line from the intersection of West Spring Lake Road to Virginia. And open cut the road, excavate the old sewer out, put new sewer and new sewer laterals in. We might not have to do that. We might just be able to line the interior of the pipe without having to open cut the road, which would save on detours and closing the roads and things of that nature. So, does that answer your question? I'm not sure where you want me to.
That's fine, just tell them we're working on it. And the issues that you have is that it's 18 feet deep, and you're
Yeah.
talking big dollars to replace that.
It's a long ways down there.
Why is it so deep?
Well, in order to get the sewage from the area to lift station number 2 at the intersection of Smith's Bridge and Lakeview, that's how they ran it. I'm not exactly sure, that's just how they did it
Okay.
in 1981.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Craig, could you elaborate on that vacuum thing for the water meters? Is that only if you have a second meter for,
No, it's just if you have irrigation.
if you have if you have irrigation on your existing meter,
Correct,
then you have to do this?
yes.
Okay, if you don't have it, underground sprinkling, it's not necessary?
Well, we still would have to come into the home. They still prefer us to go into the home and look for cross connections. It's not just the irrigation. There can be a boiler. Maybe you heat your home with a boiler and it's a treated boiler. That's another.
Gotcha, okay, I
There's a
understand.
number of different things that can contribute to
Okay.
cross connections.
I understand, thank you.
You mentioned infiltration a little bit. Is infiltration boosting up our sewage expenses quite a bit?
When it rains a lot, it does. You'll notice, especially in the month of usually April, snow melt, past years,
Okay.
heavy rains, you'll notice a significant
Okay.
increase.
Now, there was talk a while ago about having utility workers go into homes to see where people had connected sump pumps to sewer lines.
Yeah.
Is that an issue in the city?
I mean, it may be in some locations, I'm not sure, I haven't been in every home to see if
And-
they're
and can
directly
this-
tied into the sewer.
Can the state force a resident to have someone come in like that?
Well, I could give you my personal opinion, but I don't know if that's, I don't know if I should do that standing
Okay.
here.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay.
Your Honor?
Yes,
Your
sir.
Honor, basically, what Matt's saying is he can go in there and order it disconnected, and as soon as he gets in the truck and backs out the driveway, they rehook it.
Okay.
So basically, you're putting him in a, legally, yes, he can stop it. Practically, no, it ain't gonna, because you can't pump it out into the ditch, because the ditch runs right back in your basement.
Understood.
So, yeah,
Thank you.
practically, it's not gonna happen.
Yep. Very good. Anyone else? The only comment I would make, is there any changes, Craig, that, or Matt, that you guys can see? We projected out for motor pool for capital expenditures. Is there any big changes that you can see coming down the pipe? Since we're talking sewers?
Sewer? Not necessarily.
Okay.
Only maybe Station 1 upgrades, which I think we've talked about a little bit, but that's a shared cost with the township.
I was asking about motor pool
I'm not,
in terms of
oh,
your
vehicles?
equipment.
Oh, well, yeah,
Okay.
but fire truck that needs to be purchased as well. That's pretty expensive.
That's on our radar.
Yeah, 1,000 gallon per minute raw sewage pump, that's about $62,500. Could be something to look into in the future. A sewer line jetter, something we can do on our own as opposed to having to call plumbers if we ever do get a backup in the middle of the night. That's roughly $35,000. Maybe a new 3/4 ton pickup sewer truck with a crane and a utility box, that would be ideal. That's just a thought. But obviously not completely needed. Just maybe needed in 3 or 4 years.
Great. Anyone else? All set?
You do a good job with all the work you do around the city.
Appreciate that, thank you.
you.
I'll let our staff know that, you said that.
Yeah, we appreciate all the good work.
Okay, thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you for your
You guys
time.
have a nice evening.
You bet. Thank you, Matt. Okay, moving on to 7D, discussion and take action if appropriate to place on the February 18th, 2024 City Council agenda resolution authorizing the city attorney to present the city charter proposal amendments to the Attorney General for review and comment.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion, we approve that.
Support.
Any discussion? Staff, you have anything to add to this?
No, this is basically from the committee that worked on the charter revisions. And so we're addressing the issues that were with the November election. And then we're suggesting 3 other charter amendments, doing the pronoun gender neutral, changing the time of the organizational meeting, and taking the oath of office at the organizational meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
So this would be for the November ballot?
So that would be the next question. It was, would you like an August or November ballot?
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir, Jake.
I have a few questions. In particular, 3.9. One of the problems that was obvious to me during all of this election problems was the time to cure any kind of problems. It still states in 3.9 that petition is found invalid or insufficient shall be allowed to file supplementary or replacement petitions before 5 p.m. at the then prevailing local time on the 5th day after the last date for filing original petitions. So that would mean if a petition is due, say, the 1st, and an error was found the 6th, you would be outside of that window, correct?
Yep.
So there would be no way for a candidate to cure or correct that after 5 days after submission, right? So for me, it feels like one of the major issues that arose out of all of this was that someone could wait until after that 5th day, bring up an error, and essentially disqualify a candidate without giving them an opportunity to correct their paperwork. I feel like that a fair solution to this would be to give a potential candidate 5 days after an error is found to correct it, not limiting it to a 5-day window that essentially could be utilized by someone to disqualify a candidate because of timing.
Yeah, Your Honor, we discussed that. Bill.
Yeah.
We did.
We discussed it, and that was part of why we needed to adjust this. Because we don't want anybody to have, after the 5th day, go in there and throw a red
Right.
flag. We want to stop that.
I thought I saw an email from you.
Yeah,
With
Yeah,
it being adjusted.
I
yeah,
put that in there.
yeah, we addressed
So
it.
so we did, we just need to update this.
This
Bill,
is,
Bill sent an email with that specific language,
that was already
saying that
changed.
the candidate would have 5 days from the date the error is found.
I don't have a
somewhere.
It's in the packet.
I remember you had it in
Yeah.
red.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the main reasons we went through this.
We could make that change, yeah.
Okay.
So it corrects this from the fifth day after the last date.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
So what did what did the language say? Because I didn't see it. What was the exact language?
Yeah, I can find it. Give me a minute.
Essentially, you said from the fifth day, the fifth day following the error identified or something.
Instead of 5 days after the deadline, it's 5 days after the error is found.
Well, do you want to say 5 days after the candidate is notified?
Yes.
That way,
That'd probably be even
somebody
better.
can't sit on it. They get notified 5 days to correct it.
That's even better.
That's
Yep,
perfect.
Yep.
Because that puts the onus on the candidate at that point.
Yeah.
I think that's very fair.
So this is going on the February, this is potentially going on the February 5th, 18th agenda, right?
19th, a resolution to approve.
Okay. So
Could I-
it has 18th here, so it's the 19th though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we can make that change for when we present it to.
Right. I thought I had included this language in the latest revision. 3.9, the city clerk shall immediately notify in writing the candidate whose name appears thereon of his determinations. Such notice to any candidate whose position is found invalid or insufficient shall be delivered by personal messenger if possible. In the absence of bad faith on the part of the candidate, any candidate whose petition is found invalid or insufficient shall be allowed to file supplementary or replacement petitions before 5 p.m. at the then prevailing local time on the fifth day after the error is identified.
Kind of like Brooks' language better, though.
So,
Yeah, I
Brooke,
do
I like your language better.
Yeah.
You know, just saying 5 days following the notification.
After the identification of the error.
So it wouldn't be the identification, it'd be the notification, 5 days following when the candidate was notified.
Right.
My question is, while this was a piece of the issue, it was, there was errors on more than just petitions. Will these changes solve, prevent those issues from getting, causing issues with elections in the future?
This section specifically deals with nominating petitions, so.
So what do we need to do to address if someone on their application writes 2062?
I believe it was the affidavit that they had issues with.
Right.
So is there anything, any language about the affidavit in there at all, or no?
I would have to go back and look to see where that falls, because a lot of that's just state law, but I can go back and check to see if there's anything that we could identify. I was just reviewing what was brought to us by
Yeah.
the committee, so
At the end of the day, I just want to make sure if someone has a
Yeah.
clerical error, that.
we have an opportunity to cure.
Is there any
That
way
is
to,
not-
is there any way to encompass it and call it election paperwork? Or,
Well, this section specifically deals with nominating petitions, so I wouldn't want to bring anything else into this section. This one is very specific to nominating petitions.
Okay.
But I can look in the charter to see if there's anywhere where there's any other issues that could arise that we could then address to make sure we're not having a clerical error that creates a situation where a person doesn't have the opportunity to cure it because it's discovered after the time has already run to cure.
That clarify things, Jake? Okay, you have any other comments?
No.
Okay, anyone else?
Do you need anything from me on
Nope,
this?
I think we're good. Craig and I have notes, so we'll make the change as
Okay.
long as everybody's okay with making it that 5 days after a candidate is notified.
Thank you.
That was what we originally came
Yeah.
up with, yeah.
Everyone's all satisfied? Yeah. Is this something we need to have a motion on?
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve this resolution.
Very good. Hearing no further discussion, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes, do we need to amend the motion? Because we're changing verbiage, or are we
No,
good?
no.
Okay, then yes.
No, hold on. So we're voting to approve it as is, that was included in our packet right now. So we're voting to approve what, the revised?
You're voting to
Just to put it on.
approve that it's going to be on the agenda on February 19th,
Okay.
2024. But I think the amendment needs to happen because I think the date says February 18th, so you might want to make a motion on February 9th. It's saying it's February
Okay.
19th is the date.
Okay. You okay modifying your motion? I'll support the modified.
okay, thank you.
I don't know who seconded.
Remember, I guess I did.
Who seconded? Or who made the motion?
Originally, Councilmember DeWitt and Councilmember Kate
support that?
seconded.
Amendment?
Yep. Very good.
I'll make sure everybody's included.
Can we proceed, Amber?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm going to just start over. Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Very good, thank you. Moving forward to item 7E, discussion and take action if appropriate to contract with the Michigan Municipal League for elected official training.
Pretty quiet.
It is, I'm trying to get myself organized here. I expect comments like that at home. Yeah, get that paintbrush going.
So in your packet was some information from MML on training, and they offer training on different topics. And so this is an item on the agenda is for city council to consider enrolling in one of these, where someone from the MML will come into City Hall here and talk to elected officials on some of the things that elected officials go through. So they do it Monday through Friday. They come in the day or evening, and it's a 3-hour training session. And so this is on the agenda to determine if city council is interested in moving forward with this, and if so, what topics they want to have covered.
Okay,
I have a question.
yes.
What's the cost for this, Greg?
3 hours in person, $1,800.
For the group?
Yes.
Okay.
And can we have other people here besides city council members? Could we have board and commission chairs as well here?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Craig, just to put it in perspective, how much do we typically pay for like the newly elected officials? Do you remember? Is it a couple $100 a person?
I would think so, at least that, plus your hotel if you go to it.
If I can give you any insight into this, I just think there is so much that that is required of city council members to know when you're in this position, that having somebody come in and provide this training is good because, I mean, do you guys know off the top of your head everything about an Open Meetings Act, FOIA, what can be FOIA'd, what can't be FOIA'd, on your personal emails, on group emails, on talking to members outside? Are you talking in a quorum? Are you not in a quorum? Do you know Robert's Rules of Order? Like, there's so much that is put on you as volunteers of this city. It's only, I think, appropriate to have you properly trained. This isn't because anybody thinks you don't know what you're doing. It's because there's so much involved in being a city council member that having somebody come in that can tell you like, okay, this is the best way to conduct yourselves and to be able to, and not when I say, I don't say conduct yourselves like you're out of line, but like, hey, you know, if you're talking to 4 people outside in the parking lot that are all on the board, you're technically in a board meeting right now because you have a quorum. And if you're talking about things, that could be a violation of the Open Meetings Act. Like just simple things like that that can really put you in legal jeopardy if somebody were to try to say that there was a violation. So I in my opinion, if I was sitting in your shoes, I would want somebody to come in and tell me an overview of this. And I think $1,800 is money well spent to do it.
Be 1,800 plus expenses, I'm assuming, Craig? Mileage or something?
It says it's all inclusive.
All inclusive? Okay,
They come here, though.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, they have a virtual option for $1,440.
But, Your Honor,
Yes.
we're having a lot of discussion without a motion on the floor.
I'll make a motion to
Thank you.
approve, specifically in-person training.
I second that.
Okay, motion and support. Thank you, Mr. Kate.
That's why we need training.
Well, this idea about training has been on my, as I said in a letter today, it's been on my radar for a while because of the fact that it is very complex with all the different laws and regulations, and it's something that we need to have addressed, whether it be FOIA and the open meeting compliance and Robert's Rules of Order and that type of thing, all because I've heard so many citizens complaining about the fact of lack of civil government, particularly here in Ferrisburg. I've had people in neighboring communities come up and talk to me about the fact that, oh, politics in Ferrisburg is always so ugly and so,
I get the
so
same. I
adversarial.
get the same discussion.
yeah, exactly. And this should help us work together and be more effective and be very helpful for us. So I'm in support of it.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Being the newest council member, I welcome this opportunity. I have a lot to learn personally, and I'm sure that, you know, while Mike's been on council forever, he probably knows everything. But I think the rest of us could definitely use a refresher. And maybe Mike even too. You never know. But I welcome the opportunity.
I think it's good. I went to years ago, I don't know how many years ago, but anyway, you get you basic knowledge to keep you out of trouble. Like Brooke says, if 3 of you are at a party and talking, that's an open meeting. That's a violation of open meeting. It doesn't matter if you're talking about city business or not, 4 is a quorum. So you have to be careful if Rich is throwing a party, who can show up? I mean, that seems innocent to us because we just want to stop by and have a beer. Citizen notices it, now we're in violation of Open Meetings Act. And there can be severe consequences. I don't know what the total legal ramifications are, but maybe Brooks could address that as.
It just could bring forth a lawsuit, and, you know, then you're dealing with attorney fees, just to get something dismissed because no action happened at the party, but still, you know, if somebody wanted to cause, you know, grief, they could do it. And, you know, it's just, I think, good to have a baseline knowledge of these things, and it's never, I guarantee you'll learn something.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Well, Craig, will you let us know when there's going to be availability?
Is there a special day a special evening, you want to do it during the evening?
Well,
Any special night?
I think some people work. I don't, but I think some people do.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
It seems to me like when I went through it, didn't they have it at the Holiday Inn for all the local, Spring Lake was there, the township, I know there were people from Grand Haven Township, City Grand Haven. Didn't they come in and put it on at the Spring Lake Holiday Inn?
Yes.
So is that an option for us rather than we will know, what, 3 weeks or a month ahead of time, we can work our schedule around it.
So if you do have the Holiday Inn, you're going to have to pay a cost to rent the room there. You know, we can invite, if we're inviting mayor and council, and then we're gonna invite the board chairs and commission chairs to attend this meeting. I'm not sure how many you wanna get involved to, it might be better to have a smaller group to go back and forth with questions and answers and having a large crowd here.
Well, obviously, we could have it here if it's just Ferrisburgh City. Now, is that $1,800, is that per person or for the class?
For the class.
Okay, so all of us could attend, all the board chairman or whatever for that. What about other members of, say, a planning commission member that would want to participate? Is that,
I would think we invite everybody.
okay? Yeah, I think for $1,800, it could keep you out of a lot of trouble.
Well, Mondays seem to work well for people, at least for this crowd.
Fourth Monday of the month?
Well, won't we have to find out when they're available?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other further discussion before we take a vote?
What are we voting on? To contact them and set it up?
Or should we just instruct to move forward, just to instruct staff to,
Yep.
you can move forward on that? You got enough? Okay, very good. Yes.
Tim O'Donnell, 540 Ferry Street. I'd like to thank the council for finally getting this on the agenda. I've only been trying to do this for 6 years and offered to set it up as often as, over the 6 years as possible. There is an option that it was not addressed here for training. And I don't like the virtual because that's not what this is about. The training is also to get involved with other elected officials and other people that are involved in the government. And that's where your strength comes, is you can grow not only by what you hear from MML, but by what the experiences and making friends in other communities, so that you get some information on that. There are classes already scheduled. There in Lansing, there's one for $125 per person, and there'd be $100 for it could be mileage if the person driving decided to collect that $100 for the mileage, or just pay the $125. The day classes in Lansing, I always decided just to drive down. They're usually about 10 o'clock in the morning, maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They're 2-3 hours. Drive down there, find a parking spot. If it's at the MML building, they will validate your parking, so parking's free for whatever time you spend down there. So I'd just like to bring that out as well as an option to just spending the $1,800. Before you decide to spend the $1,800, you might want to find out how many people actually want to attend. If it was just the 5 of you, it would be, if everyone drove, everyone collected the mileage and the class, it would be $1,125 for the 5 people that have not gone through the newly elected program. So, just, again, thank you for finally considering going through the training.
Yes.
Gina Schoberg, 17542 Parkwood Drive. I attended this class when I was the first council member with John Stafford, and we had to drive into Grand Rapids, and I think it was between $350 and $400 a person. So you're getting a deal when you can educate that many people for $1,800. And the most important part was the legal, what you can do legally and what you can't do legally. You did have some women that said, oh, make sure you wear makeup when you leave the house because the media will be looking at you. That, you guys are gonna look real funny with that. But the rest of it was really valuable. And for $1,800, and you can have all your board members come, I think that's a good, just legally alone, it's worth it.
Thank you. Any other discussion from council? Very good.
Maybe the fifth Monday night.
Craig, you got enough to run on?
Yes. You have a
Fifth
motion.
Monday or something like that, maybe? Okay,
You have
very
a
good.
motion support on the floor.
Okay, very good.
Wait, we have a motion support.
I think city staff is just gonna, you just need some direction to move forward, correct?
We'll do that, but we still have a motion and support on the
Oh,
floor.
okay, very good. And the motion was to contract
That's correct.
with them, very good. Amber, thank you.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Yes.
Councilmember Kate.
Yes.
Councilmember Sias.
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley.
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch.
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery.
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Moving on to 7E, discussion to take action if appropriate to schedule a work session as a regular agenda item for our February 19th meeting. And city staff has given us a list of a couple different items for work session. Planning Commission bylaws and the 2024 goals,
Your Honor?
which we've moved to as an agenda item to tonight. Yes, sir.
At the last meeting, we asked you to look into the commission bylaws if we were legally in compliant as existing.
Right, we're working on that. That's why we have a work session next time.
Okay. I'd like to put on there, we need to address our building inspector, plumbing inspector, such what. They haven't had a raise in quite a while. Right now, they are about $20 per inspection under everybody else. I'm on the Construction Board of Appeals. We have very few meetings, if ever, because we have good inspectors. They take their time to help you explain if something's wrong, give you time to fix it. Most of them don't do that. I deal with them all over the state. We need to keep our guys happy. I think we need to have a discussion on that. If we raise right now, our mechanical fee's $80. All over every jurisdiction is 100. Most are 115, 140. We got room to move that up and give our guys a raise.
So we can do that. The building fund is flush. We can give a raise to our inspectors. I guess the question was, do you want to do it now or do you want to do it when the beginning of the budget starts July 1st?
I think let's put it in a work session and get this moving. I'm afraid that Bob in particular, he's one of the best inspectors around. He's tough, but he's fair and he's good. I would hate to see him lose him. We go back to some of the idiots we've had in the past, and we definitely don't want to get Safe Build in here. They are the biggest pain in the world from anybody, whether it's building, mechanical, electrical, whatever. So I think we should address it and give them a little boost in pay to keep them happy and keep us happy, because if inspectors piss off homeowners, guess who they call? You'll be getting a call. So I'd like to see that on a work session.
So we'd be looking at Planning Commission bylaws and permits, permit costs.
Yep.
Is that right? Because 2024 goals have been moved to 7F, right?
Yeah, that really shouldn't be on this anymore because we're going to talk about that next, right?
Correct,
Thank you.
correct.
Pardon my confusion.
No, that's all right.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'm confused on the planning commission bylaws. Didn't we discuss this last month? Or,
We did, and there was questions, Mr. DeWitt had a couple questions regarding it,
oh, okay, and that's why we're
and so we
making
threw
a,
it into a work session.
Well, my questions were,
Why?
most of us didn't have, why, number
Yeah.
one. Most of us didn't even have all the, what you guys had on your computers wasn't what I had printed out. So, and the question is, why even bother if we are in compliant with the bylaws as currently constituted? I mean, just to change stuff, just to change it doesn't make any sense to me. And, I think we directed Craig to look at that to make sure that our current bylaws were in compliance with state law and everything.
And Craig, you said that that's still under review, is that right?
Correct.
So we could leave it as a work session item now?
Work session for the next meeting, yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, can we need a motion and support on this and vote on it?
I got direction from council, I'm good.
Okay, very good. Okay, very good. All right, moving on to agenda item number 7F, 2024 city goals. There's a late fury of emails regarding this. Some interesting ideas.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion that we table this and discuss it at a work session at their next meeting. Because of the late emails that just came in this afternoon.
Yeah, I would support that, Jerry. So it's been a busy month, and I apologize for sending it out late. That's why I asked Craig to print it for you. But, the spirit of it is essentially that we need to look at our goals and really make them SMART goals, right? So I gave you guys an infographic to at least consider. But it's making your goals specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound, right? It's something that the public can hold us to. It's something that at the end of the year or whatever timeline we set for ourselves, we can look at and check the box, right? I struggle with things like maintain a balanced budget. Yes, I want to maintain a balanced budget, but that's more of an expectation of us as council and not necessarily a goal, right?
I don't know. I mean, but it is a goal though to maintain, there's a lot of communities that don't have a balanced budget, so keeping a balanced budget should be a goal.
Sure.
It's an expectation, of course, but I mean,
And that's the
it's
example.
apples and oranges, I guess.
But I gave you guys,
Yeah.
my thoughts. These are just rough examples that, timelines, everything else. But it's making them specific and measurable so that, the public can hold us accountable and we can hold ourselves accountable to completing these as we go.
So, are you in favor of tabling this so we can, okay, all right, yeah. I agree, thank you.
Any further discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
I'm with Jerry on this. I got an email,
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Mr. Sturley.
So we have a motion to support
Yes.
the table, and then there's no discussion on the table.
So we just need to vote?
Go right to vote.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay.
May I continue?
Craig's saying you can't.
Well, what Craig is saying is there's no discussion about these goals because,
I'm not discussing the goals.
but you're discussing whether to table it.
I got email at 5:30,
Yeah.
and then I gotta be here at 7 to discuss it. That's not fair to me or the citizens.
That's why we're tabling it.
Yeah, okay.
So the motion on the floor is to table, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Made by Jerry, I support it.
Go ahead, Amir.
Councilmember Kate.
Yes.
Councilmember Sias.
Yes,
Councilmember Sterling.
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch.
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery.
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes,
Motion passed.
thank you. Okay, moving forward. Public comments. Do we have any further public comments? Mr. O'Donnell.
Tim O'Donnell, 540 Ferry Street, brought up tonight by Public Works Director Matt on the Cross Connect program, which will be discussed in the future. This has been discussed multiple times by past councils and has been rejected every time. First off, it's a home invasion. It's not necessary under we do not have homes that are old enough to have problems with the cross connections. We have excellent building inspectors, and if they're doing their job, there's not gonna be any problems. And they are doing their jobs. They're doing a really good job. This has been discussed on the committee that I was on with the MML, the Infrastructure, Transportation, and Information Technology Committee. This law, if you read it, it's just a way for the state to make money. That's all it is. It's not needed, and I hope that this council will continue the practice of past councils to oppose it. I saw in the manager's report that there was about the initiative to eliminate real taxes. Again, please be cautious about this. If we eliminate our real taxes, could devastate the city because we rely so heavily on real taxes. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you. City manager report?
No report?
Okay. Council member report? Anybody like to go first?
Yeah, I will.
Thank you.
Harbor Transit Board met last week. The automated dispatching system and scheduling system is called Lakeshore Go, is working well overall. We've only had one complaint from a dad who can't get his kids picked up from school. Now that people are paying, we've seen a 20% drop in no-shows. In other words, people know they have to pay to get on the bus. They're going to get on the bus. So it's going well.
End of report?
End of report.
Anyone else? Mr. DeWitt?
Got nothing to say.
No report? William?
Yeah, just to address the one comment tonight, a little disappointed, there's still some political animosity going on in the city. I did mention that I've been to MML events. I did the I did the newly elected officials training, which I've always said is important. I also did the Core Weekender virtually. It was online. If that is not a conference, it's a 2-day training. I apologize for the semantics. I do find them both valuable. I would encourage you to do them. I've shared my personal views previously. I'll share them for this council that I personally don't feel it appropriate for us to spend taxpayer dollars on networking events. It's not saying I wouldn't support you going. It's just my personal opinion that I don't feel I should be paying taxpayer dollars to go have drinks and have fun. I understand there's value in it, in networking. That's just my thoughts and opinions. End of report.
Very good.
No report. We meet next week.
Great. Jerry?
No report.
Okay.
Me?
You bet.
Okay. I sat through my first KLH Dunes Preserve Board meeting. Got to kind of learn a little bit about the board, sat through a presentation about the shoreline restoration project, where the KLH Dune Preserve Board is working on restoring a piece of shoreline to its natural habitat. They've received grant money to do this, and it was very interesting to sit through it and see the presentation and meet the new board members. So I'm officially a council liaison to a board.
It's wonderful.
End of report.
Glad to hear it was enjoyable. That's great. I just had a few quick comments. January 17th, I attended the MPO policy meeting up in Muskegon. find out that we're not alone with struggles and conflicts like every other city has got the same kind of issues that we have. Sound systems, Craig, I was glad to read that we're going to be doing an addition for hearing aids. That's,
Hearing assist, yep.
yeah, that's great to hear. Going to be rebuilt this summer, is that correct?
We met with the engineer 2 weeks ago, and we're putting the timetable together right now. It's either going to be fall or spring. My concern is if we get, it's getting late to get it to the state, and I don't want a project starting in fall where the contractor can't get it finished by November 15th.
Okay. Okay, very good. Any update at all on Smiths Bridge funding besides that resolution that we did?
No.
Okay, very good. I was at City Hall here earlier last week, and I had mentioned to Craig about the fact that Councilmember Kate had talked about the Pine and Third Street intersection, that it was just a disaster. And after I left City Hall, the hot patch crew was there from the road commission patching. I had asked Craig, though, that situation needs much longer term solution than what we're getting with this hot patch. The 18-wheelers make that turn and they just tear the living daylights out of that corner. Love to see at least one lane of concrete in there, if that's possible. Craig had also mentioned to me that in years past, that there had been a luncheon or a breakfast get-together every once in a while with the city manager of Grand Haven, Ferrisburg, and Spring Lake Village, Spring Lake Township, and Grand Haven Township. And then at the MPO meeting, I was chatting with an individual, and he made mention of the same meeting as well, that, gee, that'd be kind of cool to get that going again. So I'll get an email off to city staff to see if we could potentially get the ball rolling to have something like that happen, to share some of our visions about what's happening and some of the issues that we're all facing, and maybe we could collaboratively do things. Whether it be even, like Mr. DeWitt was saying about the training that we had at the Holiday Inn years ago, this might be an opportunity, not necessarily to share costs, but to bring people together. So I thought it was a great idea. Any news on the Coast Guard picnic situation?
The Recreation Commission, in their meeting, they expressed their disappointment in not having it this year and look forward to trying to get it back to Ferrisburg the following year. So that was relayed to the Coast Guard Executive Director, and she thanked us for that, and she'll give us some consideration.
So they're gonna consider giving it back to us.
Correct.
They can yank it by all rights, is that correct?
They already have.
They already have? Okay.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
I wonder if we should just tell them that, if you yank it, you got it. We don't,
I think they'd be fine with that.
Yeah,
They don't want to
keep
give it back, Mike.
yeah,
Hey.
keep them. What does it cost the city to put that on, roughly?
Probably $4,000.
we do the
$4,000
Fourth
we
of
could spend
July
somewhere
picnic,
else.
so.
That, and occasionally we've got city elected officials that feel the need to fly out to Washington DC and go to changing of the commandant. That is fairly expensive as well,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, I think, if they want it, they can have it, We've been doing it for what, 30 years?
You know, I think Will can talk on this a little bit too, but I believe the Coast Guard picnic is the only event that's held outside of Grand Haven, correct?
Yeah.
So you have to understand why it makes sense for Grand Haven to want this back on their 100th anniversary. Events used to take place in Spring Lake also. They've consolidated this. This is their Coast Guard Festival. It's not Ferrisburg's Coast Guard Festival. So this is, I actually see this as an opportunity for us to put on our own event, something that we can build, a community identity around and not just kind of siphon off what Grand Haven's doing.
Well, certainly the concerts down at William Ferry Park were a tremendous success and great exposure for Ferrisburg.
Yeah.
And we could build on something like that.
And that's what we talked about with rec. And at the end of the day, if we decide that we do want to do our own picnic, we still can, right? It's just not the Coast Guard Festival picnic, but, you know, we have a prime example right north of us, right? If you look at downtown Muskegon, they pulled bike time and made Rebel Road as a response to it, and it's been overwhelmingly successful. So if we want to have our own picnic, we can, right? It's just not a Coast Guard Festival picnic.
I just hope that we don't see this, that we're so disappointed at and losing it, and maybe we can see it as an opportunity to create our own identity around an event in the city.
Okay. Very good. One last thing, and that was in your packets was a Rebecca Hop digging about educational expenses. William talked a little bit about this already. And that Mayor Carlson, I did not seek reimbursement for the Citizen Planner course that I took. And Craig had attached my certificate of completion to show that I actually did the crazy thing. I would support William's comments about no expenses. I'm not in favor of I'll pay my own expenses if I'm gonna go somewhere or get a shirt or anything else. And so you're not gonna see expenses for me going to MPO meetings or anything else. I just don't feel that that's right. I'm a public servant, so. End of report. Didn't this hit my target of an hour and
Motion to adjourn,
a half?
and I
Thank you.
support.
Good.
7 minutes over.
I know, we're trying. I'd like to hang my hat on a minute,
up,
an hour and a half. That's plenty enough time to scrape enough dust.